In this video, I will be covering 3 things that I wish I knew before starting an online Pokemon shop. I'll hopefully be answering questions like, what do I need to get started? How much of my own money should I expect to put forward? And how do I grow a business? I'll also talk about Top Chaserz, my online Pokemon shop, and how we got started. And by we, I really just mean me. But everyone says we. Why is that? Are we all mentally ill? Yes, probably a little bit. Anyways, I'm Nate. Like I said, I own Top Chaserz, and I sell sealed Japanese booster boxes, graded cards, and plans to sell English Pokemon in the near future.
Nice.
And well, welcome to the first YouTube video of Top Chaserz. Since officially starting in January 2025, we've done over 450 orders across eBay and Shopify, which has helped Top Chaserz become one of the top rated sellers on eBay. So whether you're thinking about starting an online Pokemon shop, or you're just curious about the behind the scenes of this world, this channel might be for you. So quick backstory of Top Chaserz. This is really a story of how 2 paths in my life kind of came to a head. The first was my interest in Pokemon. I've been a Pokemon fan since I was a kid, and growing up, I grew up in a conservative Christian home, and Pokemon was considered contraband by my parents. So I got my fix of trading cards from neighborhood friends, and mind you, this was back in the early 2000s. So this probably means I was trying to do card throwing tricks with base set cards. I know, sacrilegious, light me up. But throughout my years, I remember spending hours on games like Pokemon Red, Pokemon Emerald, participating in the initial hype around the Pokemon Go app. There was one summer where my friends and I would roam around town on mopeds in the middle of the night trying to catch Pokemon. Shout out to the Honda Ruckus. If you know, you know. So I look back on those days and years with complete nostalgia, and I think a lot of people do too, which is why Pokemon is so popular right now. We can all point towards similar shared experiences, and I think that's really cool. Anyways, fast forwarding more to the present, in December 2024, I started watching a lot of rip and ship streamers. It was kind of addicting watching someone open these packs and the chat getting hyped when there was a hit card that was pulled, which is a dangerous game to play. If you spend too much time around something, you're gonna start to participate. And so I went in on a couple boxes of Chaserz Festival. If you know anything about the recent set, Chaserz Festival, it's the Japanese equivalent to Prismatic Evolutions. And in my opinion, I think it's a much better set to rip. The main reason being is per box, you get 10 packs, 10 cards in each pack, and each box has a guaranteed SAR hit. Some of these boxes have Master Ball hits, there's God packs, sometimes you can get double SAR hits. So overall, it's just a really fun set to rip. And on the first box that I went in on a rip and ship, I pulled this, a Roaring Moon SAR. And this card is what got me back into the hobby of collecting. That was it. I was hooked. And as an adult with adult money, a passion for the hobby, and a newborn, I've been looking for a way to build something long-term that can end up supporting my family. Which brings me to the other path, which most of my life, I've had a streak of wanting to own a business someday. Top Chaserz is my first official business, but ever since I was a kid, my dad said that I had an entrepreneurial spirit. A hard word to say. Entrepreneurial. There we go. I remember selling sodas and snacks at my little brother's baseball games, and my mom would take me to Sam's Club. I'd purchase all the inventory, lug it around in a 10-year-old cooler and a plastic wagon, like a vendor at a sports game. But I'm really thankful for that experience because it taught me from a young age to balance frugality with risk.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
And in high school, I had to sell Rockies tickets for my high school baseball team. I remember going door to door in my neighborhood, asking people to buy these tickets and being told no a lot. And rejection is just a natural part of sales. It's a natural part of owning a business. But rejection's also associated with failure. And if you know anything about baseball, a player who fails 8 times out of 10 is considered average. A player who fails 7 times out of 10 is considered good. Think Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, Ichiro Suzuki. But all that to say, the fear of failure and the fear of getting rejected, at least within the business realm, wasn't something I feared growing up as a kid. And as my dad would say, that entrepreneurial spirit has stayed with me since growing up. Now, I've had business ideas here and there, but none of them really caught a spark until it dawned on me last year that I could merge my passion and my interest in Pokemon with my deep interest in business. And so Top Chaserz was born, and this is my outlet to go all in. Not just collecting, but building a business around something that I actually enjoy. So enough about me. Let's get into the 3 things that I wish I knew before starting Top Chaserz. First one, hype does not equal hypergrowth. Pokemon's popularity is surging right now, probably more than it did during the pandemic. There's new collectors entering the hobby, old collectors coming back to the hobby, and the always there collectors have been there through it all, through the highs and lows and everything in between. However, just because there's a huge surge doesn't mean that anyone can just start an online TCG store and expect it to grow tremendously in a short amount of time. I fell into this wrong mindset. If I start a store now, it'll take off immediately, right? No, not even close. Here's a very basic rule of business. You need buying customers to stay in business. No brainer, right? Except how do you get those buying customers? How do you convince someone to buy from you online? These may seem like really simple questions, but think through these with me for a second. Would you rather trust a known seller like Brian with PokeNE, Danny Phantom, Mystic Rips, or some random Instagram account with 300 followers? That's me. So how do you convince a customer to buy from a nobody like me? Or if you're thinking of starting your store, maybe even you. And the best way that I've found to build that trust with your potential customers is through social media. If you're anything like me, becoming a content creator was kind of an intimidating concept. I'm naturally not one to just put myself forward, let alone in front of a camera. And you guys can look through my first TikToks. They were rough, but you do get more comfortable with it. And think of social media as basically free advertising for your business. Every business today is doing social media, and if they're not, they're trying to get into the game because it's a way that you build brand identity and trust with your potential customers. And it's not as simple as just posting consistently online, slapping a website together, and then sitting back and expecting the orders to roll in. I thought growing social media accounts would be as simple as just consistently posting every single day, and to some degree that is true, but every platform behaves differently. For example, TikTok's algorithm thrives on hooky one-liners, quick attention grabbers, and more on the entertainment element of social media. That entertainment element probably causes a lot of us to lose a lot of hours of sleep. It does for me. And think about the most popular creators, the most viral content that you've seen on TikTok. Are they using expensive cameras to film? Usually no. They're simply posting something that's funny or doing a series with tons of energy and bringing it even down to the level of Pokemon. They're going crazy over their pack hits or lack thereof. I'm looking at you, Evolving Skies. They're providing commentary on the market with their front-facing iPhone camera while they sit in the driver's seat of their car. So anyways, here's what I wish I knew about TikTok before starting. People don't care about quality. They want entertainment. If you have charisma and you can pique a user's attention, you'll see your TikTok grow. Now on other social media platforms like Instagram, I've noticed that the algorithm favors quality, business perspectives, short commentaries, etc. In a way, it kind of behaves like YouTube, where it strikes a balance between entertainment and value. How is the user, after seeing this post, going to be better off after watching it? For example, I started to post POV videos of me packing orders and blasted those to both TikTok and Instagram. Something that I noticed was that the Instagram Reels tended to do twice as better, or sometimes more, than TikTok. I also did a series called Daily Doubles, where I would open 2 packs per day of a particular Pokemon set, react to it on camera, and sometimes they became little skits. But by way of example, those videos typically did twice as better on TikTok than they did on Instagram. So bottom line there, I found TikTok to be a great place for fun, energetic, a creative outlet that's quote unquote low effort in comparison to Instagram, which favors the higher quality content that provides value. And another note, when creating content for Instagram, I had to up my filming quality, but more on that in point 3. To summarize this whole point, building a real brand, one that people trust, takes more than just riding the hype wave. It takes consistency, strategy based on how to grow a specific medium, and probably the most important, patience. Actually, scratch that. I would say consistency and patience are probably the 2 most important takeaways there. The second thing that I wish I knew before starting Top Chasers: do not take big stores' advice as gospel. There's some amazing content out there on YouTube and some really great shops like Brian at PokeNE. If you know anything about Brian's shtick, it's all about transparency, giving business advice, providing a perspective of his day-to-day, and a lot of his advice is really, really good. Some of it I've actually incorporated into my own business. But here's the thing. Some of his advice works for his brand, which is already scaled and established. And if I tried to copy his model one-to-one, Top Chaserz would just become a watered-down version of Poke-Ne. Top Chaserz, my company, is going to have a very different brand identity than Brian's. And this was something important for me to recognize early, that I'm building my own brand with my own customers and building my own community. That means making decisions that align with my goals, my audience, and where I am on my journey. So your takeaway from this: learn from others, sure, but do not lose your individuality trying to follow someone else's blueprint. Realize that you have the freedom to choose how your brand looks, which is equally challenging as it is exciting. This isn't really advice, this is more just encouragement, which is if you are starting your own online Pokemon store, I would highly recommend trying to put on metaphorical horse blinders, where the only thing that you see is what's in front of you. You're not looking at the millions of stores that have started up in the last 3 months. You're not looking at the larger creators, comparing yourself to those pages. You're focused on your brand, your identity, your customers, your audience. I'll caveat this entire point with this: there are certain principles to running an online TCG store that should just be mainstay across the board. For example, creating email subscriber lists is very, very powerful for any size of business, and really any type of business. To simplify business in a nutshell, think of all Pokemon collectors and all potential collectors as a giant pool, and continuously ask yourself questions: how will I funnel this pool down to a group of people that my brand identity appeals to? Another thing you can ask yourself is the business advice that someone's giving going to help the effort of building my brand identity, or will it clash with it? So if you've started your own store like me, keep on keeping on. If you've started, you've already done way more than anyone else has. That is something that you should definitely be proud of. The third thing I wish I knew before starting Top Chaserz: the hidden costs of just starting. So before getting super deep into the realm of owning a Pokemon TCG store, I thought starting a card shop would be as simple as buy inventory, sell that inventory, make profit, reinvest the profit, buying more inventory, rinse and repeat. And sometimes simplifying the complexity of owning a business is super helpful, because that really is how you grow any type of business. But here's a reality check: there's a lot of hidden startup work that has to happen before your store gets off the ground. You have to buy a domain, you have to pay for a business email, you have to register as an LLC within your state. I hope to make another video about that down the road. If you're thinking about LLC versus sole proprietorship, there's way more benefits to starting an LLC than a sole prop. The main one is that, say your business gets into some type of liability lawsuit, if you're incorporated as a sole proprietor, whoever's suing you, whether it's the bank or someone else, they can come after both the assets of your business as well as your personal assets. Whereas creating an LLC, it's its own entity, and so if a lawsuit were to arise or the bank came knocking on your door to collect debt, that person can only come after the assets within the LLC. They can't touch your personal assets. But there's more hidden startup work. Some states require a registered agent. Again, that could be its own video. The TLDR there is, if someone were to file a suit against you, do you want them having your personal address? That's one example out of many, and that's not the main reason why people get registered agents, but that is a main one. Continuing onward, creating your online store, setting up QuickBooks or another accounting tool, getting packing supplies like boxes, tape, bean bags, top loaders, penny sleeves, and investing in creator content gear like tripods, SD cards, microphones, editing software, cameras. It's a lot, and no one tells you about this before you get started. I kind of had to figure this all out on my own, and unfortunately it all costs money. And sure, you can create your store and probably do okay without a lot of those things, especially some of the content creation stuff, but it does add up quickly, especially if you're bootstrapping. Would I have changed anything? No, but I do wish someone had warned me. So now I'm warning you. So these 3 lessons were things that I wish I knew before starting Top Chaserz. And I'm gonna be honest, the last 3 months have been a giant learning experience. There's been a lot of speed bumps, but we're getting through it. By the end of 2025, I want to be at around $10,000 a month in revenue, which we're currently sitting at about $2,000. I want to grow my Instagram following to over 2,000 followers and my TikTok following to over 5,000 followers. I'd also like to post consistently onto YouTube. The goal that I have in my mind is once a week. And I also want to build a community of collectors that vibe with the Top Chasers brand. And right now, I'm a new dad. My daughter is 2 weeks old. It's been an absolute blur. Yes, I am tired. No, I have not gotten that much sleep. And right now, I'm working on my business on the late nights, between feeding shifts while my wife and my daughter sleep. So I'll finish with this. If you're thinking about starting your own online Pokemon shop, I'm asking you as a friend here, what's stopping you? You're never gonna feel ready enough. Just start, even if it's selling singles on eBay like I did. And if you own an online shop, let me know in the comments what you wish you knew before you started. My friends and I make fun of the YouTubers that are like, hit subscribe, hit the bell, comment down below, leave a like on the video. And now I've become one of those people. So anyways, if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching this video. And if you do any one of those things, it does help the algorithm. And I would appreciate it, but it's not necessary. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.